Live. Okay.
So yes, we will be live streaming this to the Afro UPRIS YouTube page. So if anyone wants their camera off, please do. Go ahead and turn it off. Alrighty. Are we ready to bring people in, you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna admit all. Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being so prompt to Afro UPRIS Candidate Forum for San Jose City Council District 3. And I just want to let people know that we are doing a live stream to our Afro UPRIS YouTube page. So if there's any members from Afro UPRIS who would like to watch this later on during the voting period, or just for anyone to have a reference to go back and listen to this, we have this available. So I'm the president of Afro UPRIS, Tamara Hall. Welcome. We'll do some introductions of our leadership team, and then we'll get started. So go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm the political ambassador with Afro UPRIS.
Hey, I'm Chuck Cantrell. I serve as the treasurer for Afro UPRIS.
Gilsha Taylor, Youth Ambassador.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a packed schedule and we're gonna get started. I see Anthony put in the chat, Irene says that she was having some issues, but hopefully she can join momentarily. We'll just start with intros, and I'm gonna let Elizabeth begin. I'll be using the timer feature, so it's a tiny, my apologies, but hopefully you'll be able to see it for the candidates.
Awesome. All right. So for all candidates, would you please introduce yourself, your candidacy, and why you are running? And you'll each have 1 minute. And let's see, we will start with, who should we start with? We'll start with Anthony.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Anthony Tordillos. I'm a planning commissioner, a neighborhood president, and an engineer here in downtown San Jose, and I'm running to be a council member that you all can count on. I've spent a lot of time out at the doors talking with voters these last few months, and from those conversations, it's become really clear that many folks have lost trust in our local government. That's obviously due in part to the scandal that led to this vacancy in the first place, but it's also because folks are just not seeing the progress that they expect on the issues that matter most to them. Housing is still much too expensive. Too many folks are living without shelter on our streets, and too many people don't feel safe in their own communities. I'm running because I want to bring a fresh approach to City Hall that combines a strong focus on community outreach and neighborhood engagement with data-driven, evidence-based policymaking to make sure that we can tackle all of these issues with the urgency that our residents deserve and really deliver results for the people of District 3. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if Gabby could go next, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Gabby Chavez Lopez, and I'm honored to be a candidate running to represent District 3 on the San Jose City Council. I'm a working mom. I'm an employer here in our district. I run a nonprofit agency called the Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley. Prior to that, I worked in affordable housing as an advocate at SV at Home, expanding affordable housing opportunities. I was there when we launched the Measure E campaign. I was also part of the leadership in launching our Action Fund. So I've been dedicated to racial and social justice for pretty much my entire career. I'm really excited to be able to talk more deeply about the issues that are most important to the city of San Jose. I have a degree in political science from Santa Clara University, graduated from local public schools here. Again, just looking forward to bringing strong representation. District 3 is an incredibly important district to our city, and looking forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Okay, and if I could have Irene go next, please.
Some music, sorry. Okay.
I don't know if Irene joined, so we can move on to the next candidate.
Okay, let's give Matthew. Could you go next, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Matthew Quevedo. I'm so sorry my camera's off right now. There was a last minute illness that ran through my house. I'm with my 8-month-old who's in the backseat of my car. I will be coming on camera in just a moment, so apologies. I've jumped into this race. I was born and raised in the city of San Jose. I grew up in 2 neighborhoods. I grew up in the Seven Trees area where my grandparents, my aunts and uncles lived, and where they largely moved to when they came to San Jose for better opportunity. And I grew up in the Vista Park community as well. My parents were able, my father, who's a butcher in the Butchers Union, mother who worked as an operator for Pac Bell within the CWA, was able to purchase a home at that time in Vista Park near Gunderson High School. And in growing up, I experienced the differences in 2 of our communities. Seven Trees had more gang violence, more impacts. It was more police presence. Vista Park was cleaner. I got involved at an early age because I wanted to make sure that every neighborhood had access to quality services, knowing that when we do well and we're serving our residents, everyone has an equal opportunity to achieve the American dream. So thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Irene, are you here?
Yes, I am finally here. I'm not, what the heck happened? Thank you so much, Anthony, for being my lifeline. For some reason, I put in 3 different email addresses and it still wasn't working. So then I used 4th email address and it let me in. Sorry to be late.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
no
Actually, sorry, Irene. I realized you weren't here when we had the question. So, we're having everyone introduce yourself, your candidacy, and why you're running. 1 minute.
Well, I think I'll focus on California, Santa Clara County, San Jose, need to accept the responsibility for the role that they have played in the enduring legacy of persistent racial disparities that we bear with us today. And we need to start there. The racial inequities remain, and I'm very concerned about the current proposals at the San Jose City Council. It's impacting criminal justice, housing, homelessness, and mental health. The hollowing out of the Black community is an indicator of these persistent inequities. And my policies will focus first on do no harm and involve organizations such as yourself to make sure that we don't further extend inequities. For me, I'm a unique mix of social local activism with fiscal discipline. I'm an expert in fiscal management, 10 years with IBM Finance, experienced in starting 3 small businesses, and I'm tuned into our community as I've started 4 local advocacy groups.
Awesome, thank you. So now I'm gonna pass it along to Chuck to ask the next few questions.
Right. So to keep this kind of in order, I will start with Gabby. Gabby, what does your involvement in the Black community look like? How do you plan to continue to foster a relationship with our Black community?
Thank you for the question, Chuck. So I've been a steadfast ally to the Black community, in particular, Black women that are in leadership in our community, making sure that they, have a seat at the table and that they're included in decision-making spaces. I have developed deep relationships and friendships and a sisterhood with many of our Black leaders. that are leading our nonprofit agencies, that are leading voices and advocates in our community. I have built multiracial coalitions. I am no stranger to the advocacy space, both Black and Brown communities, as well as advocating for issues that impact both of our communities, whether it be affordable housing, wage disparity, many of those acutely affecting women in particular as heads of household and, leaders of families. And so, I will continue to be a voice and an ally to many of our Black leaders in our community, and continue to support initiatives that foster culture and also carry on tradition and heritage in our city.
Thank you. Okay. Love the music. Matthew, you're up next. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, thank you, Chuck. And thank you for the question. I've been proud to partner with great organizations over the past several years, such as the Black Chamber of Commerce, individuals from the Ethiopian community in our city. It's been so important to make sure that we're working with members of the community. The Black Chamber of Commerce has been helpful, and we are working to push a smart growth policy in the city of San Jose, knowing that we need to bring in partners who are going to help us support our business community, especially a community that has largely lost out on many contracts through the city of San Jose's process. I know we're working to get better on that, making sure that the city is being more equitable and providing opportunities for members of the Black community to participate in the contracts that the city of San Jose puts out so frequently, but making sure we're working with great partners like the Black Chamber, members of the Ethiopian community, and the small businesses that they work with, and expanding that. I want to make sure that the city of San Jose is supporting wholeheartedly. And as a council member, I'd be proud to champion this. The Black Kitchen Cabinet that has existed for a long time, knowing that when we're working together and hearing from all voices, whether it's from the business community or from others, we're well representing everyone in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Irene, would you like me to repeat the question or?
No, thank you.
Sure.
Got it. My involvement in the Black community, I think it starts with a good story. We had a call for all attorneys to come out and make sure that there was adequate access to the polls and the voting booths. Many years ago, we had our first Black president running for office, and they asked attorneys to make sure that people had adequate, safe access. So I was sent, my girlfriend and I decided that we would go to Utah, and we spent time there to make sure that the polling was done correctly. And I was reminded about that from the NCAA letter that just came out about how important it is for voting access as we especially look at D3. But if for the future, for as a council member, I want to focus on Black families.
Thank you, Irene.
I think I'll turn off the sound. Sorry. I don't mean to play you off the stage.
I feel like I won an award every time. Anthony, you're up next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Okay, thank you. I would say that I've been focused on building relationships with local Black community leaders, advocates, and organizations like the Black Leadership Kitchen Cabinet, and participating in cultural events here in San Jose to learn more and educate myself about the unique cultural and experiences of the Black community. And on City Council, I would really focus on deepening and continuing to invest in developing those relationships and really leaning on the expertise and the lived experience of our Black community leaders while on City Council. Also, in my role on the Planning Commission, I've paid a lot of attention and investment into addressing issues of housing affordability, which we know disproportionately impact our Black residents. And outside of that, I've also focused on intersectional areas of advocacy that, again, disproportionately impact our Black community members, things like abortion rights and support for our trans community.
Great. Thank you. Okay, our next question, and actually, Matthew, I'm going to start with you for this question. One of Afro UPRIS's long-term goals is to ensure that Black families have access to affordable housing, permanent and supportive housing. in San Jose, in Santa Clara County, in the Bay Area of California. What is something you have done or plan to do to ensure that Black communities and families have access to affordable housing?
It's a great question, Chuck. We have a supply and demand problem here in our city, folks. We have a huge issue when it comes to housing. My wife and I, who grew up in the Seven Trees community, we've experienced it firsthand, knowing we lived in 7 different locations, having to sometimes live in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 family members and a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 family members. It's something that can no longer exist. Over the past several years, I've been working with Mayor Matt Mahan and then Councilmember Matt Mahan to ensure that San Jose is moving forward with smart growth policies, building density in places near transportation throughout our city, knowing we have the space available to make good growth occur and making sure we're bringing down the cost of housing. Unfortunately, at City Hall, we're continuously getting in our own way when it comes to permitting and other processes. When we fix this overall problem, we got to think the state of California over the past 60, 80 years, 94% of all housing was built by the private sector. And so to make sure we're building enough housing to bring the cost of housing down in our city, we need to make sure we're getting out of our own way and building. It is the way that we can provide affordable housing and housing at all levels. Of course, taking advantage of tax credits at the federal, state, and local levels. But at the city side, what are the levers that we can control to get out of the way and make sure we're building? That's streamlining permitting and making good growth occur in places that make sense, like our downtown core. I've been championing that for the past 4 years, and we'll be proud to champion that as council member to bring the cost down so that all of our families can afford to live in San Jose. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Irene, you're up next, 1.5 minutes.
I want to focus on our ability to reduce homelessness in the Black population, because we have to address the underlying systemic issues that contribute to Blacks' overrepresentation in the homeless population. Of vets, Blacks represent 20% of homeless veterans. So I think that I would like to put proposals forward. Number one, targeting interventions, recognizing the scale of the problem for Blacks and tailor homeless solutions specifically. Number two, have culturally competent services so that we can address the unique needs. And we can do that by hiring and using people that are having that same experience. Number three, we have to address systemic inequalities from an end-to-end perspective. We have to expand affordable housing, and I really want to push rental vouchers. And finally, I think we need to focus on enhanced mental health and addiction services. Alma Burrell from the Roots Community Health has said that there are high cortisol levels for Black women who are going through pregnancy. And this indicates that there will be substantial mental health issues in the future. We need to be able to address that up front before it becomes an issue down the road.
Okay, great. Thank you, Irene. Anthony.
Thank you. In terms of work that I've already done in this space, I would say one example is my work on the housing element in 2023. I was a leading voice throughout the development of the housing element, trying to encourage the city to do more and work faster to address our housing crisis. And I spent about 6 months lobbying city staff and state housing regulators to strengthen San Jose's housing element and help pave the way for tens of thousands of new homes across our city to help address the supply side of our housing shortage. On the topic of affordable housing in particular, I've been a consistent advocate for protecting Measure E dollars and really keeping that investment focused on the construction of affordable housing so that we can keep the pipeline of new affordable housing projects moving forward in San Jose. Several years ago, we saw that Measure E funds funded early work on the housing component of the Silicon Valley African American Cultural Center's housing project. So if we continue to, divert funds away from Measure E, we really do risk putting projects like that in this imperiled position moving forward. On City Council, I would hope to continue to be a leader on issues of housing. I think we need to make it faster and cheaper to build housing in San Jose. We can do so by streamlining approvals and providing ministerial entitlements and CEQA exemptions for housing downtown. Look at simplifying our development standards and design guidelines to bring down costs, legalize apartment buildings in more areas near transit throughout our city, and also explore new ways to promote home ownership opportunities to provide access to long-term economic mobility.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. Gabby, you are next.
Thank you. So yes, I have been also deeply involved in many policy initiatives and quite frankly, advocacy initiatives that have addressed a lot of the racial disparities that affect the Black community in the city of San Jose. Again, my leadership in Measure E, which has now generated over $100 million in affordable housing funding, which is being diverted. I have been against that since the beginning, but making sure that our budget reflects the values that we say that we hold dear to our city is also something that's really important. I was also very active in ensuring that the Office of Racial Equity was even created in the first place, and making sure that that we are really a strong advocate for policies that center racial justice. I've been on the advisory board of the Real Coalition. And have been very active in building multiracial coalitions, really elevating, the Black leadership in our community. Many of the folks that are on this call today, really been supporting them and their work and making sure that they aren't undermined in that. And I think that's very important, as well as being very supportive publicly of the African American Cultural Center. Obviously, there's an affordable housing component to that. So was deeply involved in that when I was at SB at Home, and also in giving public comment and supporting that in a few budget cycles ago, and making sure that those resources were directed toward that project, not only to be able to provide affordable housing, but also preserving and celebrating the Black culture.
Great. Thank you, Gabby. Okay, so this next question, Irene, we will start with you. The current federal administration has rolled back diversity, equity, and inclusion personnel, resources, programs, and funding. For 20 years, the Black community in San Jose and Santa Clara County have worked diligently with local community and elected officials for the development of the African American Cultural Center to further amplify and foster a sense of belonging for the Black community in San Jose and Santa Clara County and a broader community. How will you ensure that the African American Cultural Center is continually funded and supported? So Irene, that one's for you to get started.
Little mute mic off. So the inequities in D3 run the gamut from economic to environmental to social, racial, and gender. So our roots of inequity run deep, and our new government programs need to take those inequities into account to repair and rectify. And that is where the Cultural Center comes in. And that's why I'm calling for more control over D3's decisions and spending. I know that this Cultural Center won't be in D3, but I think that it's going to take 11 votes, maybe 6 votes, to make sure that we're getting the funding that's appropriate for the Cultural Center. But I think it's very important that we focus on culture. And for Japantown, I'm calling for a special use district so that we can protect the culture and heritage there. For Guadalupe, Washington neighborhood, I'm calling for an enterprise zone to lift up that neighborhood economy. And for the Black community, I'm calling on getting the African American Cultural Center up and running in D6. I think we have to think local, act local, and fund local to address the unique needs in reversing racial injustices in D3 and in San Jose.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Anthony, you're up next.
Thank you. I think this really does come down to a question of our budget, and I'm a firm believer that our budget is a reflection of our priorities, but also our values. So if we as a community want to show that we value the contributions and the culture of our Black residents, it's important that we do continue to invest in the African American Cultural Center. we do have structural budget issues in San Jose, particularly around maintenance of our parks and our community centers. So I know that longer term, the city is looking at a potential ballot measure for a park bond. I would say that as part of that process, we need to make sure that we are very firm in making sure that our community centers are also included in that bond. We need to build a coalition to successfully bring that bond to the ballot, actually get it passed, and then have strong accountability measures moving forward to ensure that that money is actually being leveraged to fund on an ongoing basis projects like the African American Cultural Center. We had a candidate forum a couple of weeks ago where the park bond came up, and a resident spoke up very vocally saying that they were skeptical of voting for it because they did not believe that the city would follow through on actually funding parks and community centers with that money. So I think we need to focus on rebuilding trust here and showing that we can make good on our promises to invest back into our community with this money.
Great, thank you. Gabby, you are next.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm personally connected to many of the leaders that are really spearheading the African American Cultural Center. And so really following their lead, making sure that we're in constant communication and understanding what they're going through, what is at stake, because my own organization as well is under attack because of the federal funding that we have received. So I acutely know what obviously what the attacks on DEI can do to any organization or initiative. So I see myself as a city council member that's going to be that last line of defense, quite frankly, and making sure that, as stated, a budget is a moral document. And I think it really affirms what we prioritize as a city. And as a city with a $6.1 billion budget, although we're experiencing a deficit, we can find the money if we prioritize communities. And so making sure that we're uplifting those voices, making sure that we're being in constant communication with the leadership of the cultural center, and making sure that we know what we have to work with. And I'm always one that grows the pie. So, I have been committed to bringing down resources from philanthropy, from different levels of government. Let's get creative and let's launch a campaign where we can close those financial gaps to get this thing built. It's long overdue, and we know that it's very important to the Black community. And so I will be an ally and a champion.
Thank you. Okay, Matthew, you are up next.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm an organizer at heart. I've been organizing for the past 16 years. How do we make sure that projects move forward in a way that aligns with the goals of our community and our residents? We make sure we keep our eyes on the elected officials, the city staff members, and everyone who's responsible for making the good projects move forward. What I would do, of course, is partner up with the Black Leadership Kitchen Cabinet and other great organizations to make sure we're holding the city accountable and elected leaders to provide that funding, and making sure that throughout every budget process, and there's multiple layers to the budget. There's the mayor's March budget message, the June budget message, there's city manager budget addendums and other items, and then a 500-pound document that's landed on everybody's desk that has every complicated program that's within it, but making sure, partnering with those key organizations and individuals, that we can apply the pressure and make sure that the funding is always there and available. Should the budget become in a situation where we have to make tough choices, we need to always prioritize the community center, making sure that it has the funding protected, knowing that we owe this to the community wholeheartedly. Should we need to go into private funding, I would be a proud champion and partner in making sure we're going to private resources to get that funding secured. A great point brought up by Gabby. The council member's role is multifaceted. There's the legislative, there's the community building, but there's also a great opportunity for council members to be private fundraisers for great organizations and great causes. Definitely would first and foremost always secure that money in the budget, but making sure, if we have to, we're going to the private sector and others to provide those dollars. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Actually, I will turn it back over to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next question. You'll also have a minute, 1.5 minutes to respond, a minute and a half to respond. And this question is the current federal administration. Oh, no, sorry. There we go. Afro UPRIS and the Black community have advocated for alternatives to policing due to the long history of police harassment, brutality, and assault against our community for centuries. The TRUST program, which stands for Trusted Response Urgent Support Team, is an example of a police alternative, which sends a mobile response team that includes a mental/behavioral health specialist, social worker, and person with lived experience, and does not include an armed police officer. How will you ensure that the Black people living in San Jose are aware of TRUST? Will you be a staunch supporter of expanding the TRUST program? Why or why not? And this question will go to Matthew first.
It is a great program. Yes, I would definitely advocate for expanding the trust program through the city and making sure all of our partners are partnered up on that. Excuse me. Seeing the trust program in action in downtown San Jose on a number of examples where I've had to call for assistance and support for individuals who've needed the help. It's been so crucial to see that type of service provided. How can we make sure more people are knowing about the program, especially members of the Black community? I want to continue, as an organizing folks, we have such an unfortunate side of things at the local level where in this election alone, 47,000 registered voters in District 3. Only 10,000 are expected to vote. To the point brought up many times today, there is a trust issue within local government, even long before the incident that occurred. But something we have to do better at City Hall is making sure we're partnering with our organizations, our nonprofit partners, our neighborhood associations, and bringing them into City Hall so they can better see the great programs that are being funded and the operations that are happening beneath the hood when we do the important items along the budget. Something I would want to make sure as a council member is getting out great information to our communities. That's our neighborhood associations, our community organizations, and then partnering with them to reach out to members that they represent. If that's members of this organization, making sure I'm working with you both on the messaging, but also if you need support on funding, providing that funding and helping partner to get the message out, whether it's by email, text, letter, or any other method to get folks knowledgeable about the programs. I've always been an advocate to make sure more people are participating in our process because that's how we work best. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next, Gabby, if you could go next, please.
Thank you so much. So for me, I've been involved with, I just want to add, just kind of acknowledge the advocacy that it took to even get trust to the city of San Jose. It was really fostered in the Real Coalition. We built a multiracial coalition. We had advocates from the county. We had advocates from the city. We had community-based leaders. So there's already a huge base of support for the trust program. I will say we had to fight for even the $500,000 amount. And like I said, it didn't feel like it was a priority from the get-go. And so I think that now we really need to invest in the program to see it through, to make sure that we are really testing a well-funded pilot. I don't think that it's not just a marketing problem. I think it's going to take some real investment. And if the city of San Jose is saying we're prioritizing mental health and making sure that the right responders are responding to the right crises, I think that the budget needs to reflect that. So, I was integral in the bringing on of trust to the city of San Jose, was a leading voice in that. Because I knew how important it was to the district in particular. But we worked with the county on the front end, and that's something that I don't see right now. And so we need to make sure that we're engaging the county in the creation of these and the co-creation of a lot of these programs so that they can be more successful. So I will continue to champion trust.
Great, thank you. And if Anthony could go next, please.
Sure, thank you. I saw a statistic earlier this week that Black residents in San Jose were 4 times as likely to be injured from police use of force than white residents. And I think that stat really shows why programs like Trust are so important, that, remove armed police officers from the equation and make sure that we are responding with trained professionals who are actually trained to de-escalate situations and connect folks with services. So I'm a big proponent of trust, and I would definitely continue to invest in it. And I would also advocate for helping to, again, build a coalition on city council to secure that investment over the longer term by highlighting the ways that investment in trust is actually supportive of public safety and supportive of the police by helping to preserve our limited police resources for the calls that do require a sworn officer's presence. In terms of how we can get this program to be better utilized, I think we need to focus on education. A huge part of the job of a council member is outreach and education with the local community. So again, just making sure that folks are aware that trust exists, that they know about the hotline number. But then beyond that, I think looking at how we can continue to evolve the program to be easier to use. Things like investing in San Jose's existing exploration of 911 diversion so that folks can be connected to trust first responders, even if they don't know that they should be calling 988 for a given incident. That way we can help to scale this program up and make sure that we are responding with the right types of trained professionals for the right types of calls.
Thank you. And last but not least, Irene, if you could go next, please.
As a mental health counselor, I worked at the San Jose Medical Hospital that was on Santa Clara Street. It was called the Pacific Center, and we dealt with very severely mentally ill children between the ages of, unfortunately, 4 and 18. So I understand the purpose of the trust program, and it really has a very important part in our society so that we can address the mental health with other things, other tools rather than just the police or jails. I think that it eliminates a lot of violence, and it can address problems right up front. I'd like to see in the future more integration with 988 and 911 and 311 apps. I think that helps people understand more of an outreach and how adaptable these programs can be. And I think we're not using high tech enough in order to be able to let people know that this is a system that they can rely on, that, you know, to use the word, that they can trust this trust system, that it will treat them fairly and address the needs that are coming up in that moment, rather than, you know, having a police response. So I will definitely support the trust program and continue it in the future. And I think there is a lot more creativity that can be done.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we'll go on to our next question. And you'll have a minute to respond. Black people are disproportionately represented in the unhoused population, representing 2.9% of Santa Clara County, but 19% among those unhoused, according to the 2024 Silicon Valley Pain Index, authored by the San Jose State Human Rights Institute. Black people are also disproportionately represented in jails and prisons across the state and nation. The current mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan, proposed an initiative to arrest survivors of the trauma of being unhoused if they refuse shelter 3 times. The mayor dog whistles are alludes to an era of policing called law and order, which resulted in members of the Black community being disproportionately criminalized, brutalized, and represented in the carceral legal system. If elected, would you vote in support of this? And we will start with Anthony.
No, I would not vote to support this program. You know, when we look at the disproportionate overrepresentation of our Black residents amongst our unhoused population, that really does mean that our response to homelessness is a question of racial justice. You know, we just saw last week an incident where 5 police officers in San Jose were beating an unhoused resident. And if we start to ask our police officers to take a more active role in policing homelessness, these sorts of incidents are only going to become more common. That's going to put our officers at risk. That's going to put our unhoused residents at risk. And our Black unhoused community members are the ones who are going to bear the brunt of that trauma and violence from that program. I also just think that this program is misguided because it's not looking at the reality of our current crisis. The fact of the matter is that we do not have the shelter capacity to offer shelter to all of our unhoused residents. Our shelter vacancy rate was 5% last year. So the reason that we have an unsheltered homelessness crisis is because we lack shelter capacity and we lack affordable and supportive housing, not because people are rejecting offers of service that are being extended to them.
All right, thank you. And next, if I could have Matthew go.
Thank you for the question. I am supportive of the proposal on the floor. And folks, I think this language it's being misread. I really encourage everyone to read the mayor's March budget message to get a better understanding of the conversation. And please watch last night's conversation between the council that passed the initiative. What we're saying is that when an individual who's refused services for shelter when it's made available, not to the point that Anthony just brought up respectfully, when shelter is made available, interim housing, safe sleeping, safe parking, if an individual is denied services to go into these homes, whether it's a room with a door that locks and other services, if they've denied that 3 times in 18 months, the proposal is to get people into a system that can get them into mental health care. Leaving them to die on the streets is not a solution. We've normalized homelessness, folks. 5,500 of our neighbors are out there on the streets every single day. And yet the proposals on the floor we are pushing to build more interim housing to get people off the streets more immediately. So that is the question I apologize, I just finished the time. Happy to discuss with anybody. I'll place my phone number in the chat, but I know it's a difficult proposal, but happy to have a conversation. Thank you.
Okay, and could we have who did I put? Irene go next, please.
Oh, Irene, someone had said they couldn't see you. Is it possible for you to either turn your camera or move to the center? Okay, thank you.
So you have to understand the law from this perspective. As an attorney, I can tell you that the mayor of San Jose cannot tell the district attorney, number one, what charges to press, and number two, how to press those charges, and number three, what court you're going to go in. So that's just dreaming and wishful thinking that you're going to be able to go into a behavioral health court. And it's wishful thinking that the DA will do a light prosecution. I can tell you that Penal Code 602 gives you 6 months in jail for a misdemeanor. And we should look at this 3 strikes, your trespassing thing proposed by Mayor Mahan as an exacerbation of the cycle of disproportionate Black involvement in the justice system and incarceration. If you can't tell already, I'm against this. To offer shelter that doesn't exist is at best misrepresentation and at worst a setup for entrapment. We want shelter, not handcuffs. And the Black disproportionate suffering and homelessness is if you're gonna, oh, I guess I'm out. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Gabby, if you could go next, please.
Yeah, I'm proud to stand with the majority of the candidates that vehemently oppose this policy. It is a criminalization of homelessness. I am reading the mayor's budget message as we speak, so I've read it as it's stated. I also do not like the fact that the county was not consulted in this whole process. And again, I don't think that that's strong partnership. I don't think that that's creating trusted relationships. And I think that's fostering against a sense of working against, not with the provider of behavioral health and services. And so, yeah, I have a lot of issues with it being short-sighted, ineffective, and very expensive, quite frankly, and disproportionately affecting Black and Brown and disabled communities. And so they're already struggling due to systemic inequities. And we saw this during the pandemic. And if we face another economic downturn, which is probably where we're headed, these same communities will be disproportionately impacted again. So I think it's a horrible idea and I don't support it. And I think those that spoke up at City Council yesterday, and apparently our voices weren't heard.
Okay, thank you. And then this is a question that we kind of mentioned before.
Sorry,
oh,
Elizabeth,
yeah.
I think because we're at less than 15 minutes, I'm gonna have us move on to Q&A from Afro UPRIS members. And I know someone had a question that they sent to me earlier in the chat. I know Chuck has a question. And if anyone else has a question, then you can put it in the chat or ask it yourself. So Raymond, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, this is in regards to affordable housing. I heard all the candidates speak about affordable housing and how they plan to create affordable housing for the Black community. But what is the plan to ensure that the Black community has the jobs and employment to afford the housing in which you are trying to provide for us? And are there any plans to ensure that Black construction businesses are equipped and are part of the process in creating affordable housing for the Black community?
Is that question for anyone in particular or for all candidates?
For all the candidates that said they're going to provide affordable housing for the Black community.
Okay, thank you. I'll give everyone 1 minute each. And I already forgot the order, sorry. Who should go first?
I'm happy to go first.
Okay, go ahead.
We have a group at City Hall called the Small Business Roundtable, and something that they've been working on for some time is to ensure that in the contracts that go out, that the small business community contracts that are put out there, that we're making sure they're done equitably. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, Raymond. Trust me, and that's why we need a lot of support from organizations like this one to make sure that City Hall is doing their part to keep those numbers up. The mayor has been fighting for publicly available dashboards to show the public who is getting the contracts, who's getting what jobs, and are we making sure these jobs are being equitably distributed? It's something I'd fight for as a council member, and something that the city needs to do a better job at. That's why we have the Office of Racial Equity to make sure they're keeping the city accountable as well. But when people aren't applying pressure to that system to make sure that those contracts are going out in the right direction, that's when we have the issues that we have today. I want to be a partner on that, and I want to make sure that the contracts are going out fairly. The other part is we have a jobs issue overall in the city. We need to attract more investment. We can do so by getting to the basics of making the city cleaner, safer, and much more hospitable for the investment we need to attract in San Jose to provide more jobs. Thanks for the question, Raymond.
Okay, how about we go with Anthony next?
Sure. On the topic of affordable housing, many affordable housing projects, if not most, in San Jose do involve some element of public subsidy. And I would say that any project that does receive a public subsidy, we should make sure that the contractors that are receiving work on that project represent the diversity of our community, and that we have transparency into how effective we are in being equitable in granting these contracts. In terms of economic development, big believer in investing in education programs, job training programs that help provide economic opportunity for folks. I think another part of the equation here is our entrepreneurship programs, and making sure that we have strong measures in place to include equity and diversity in those programs. The city proudly reports that our storefront activation grant program, that 80% of the recipients are people of color. But I think we really need more fine-grained reporting here so that we can actually see, what percentage of recipients were Black or Latino, so that we can ensure that we have equity built into these programs.
Irene, can you go next?
I agree with Anthony and Matthew that we should be focusing on getting city contracts for the Black community to make sure that they are fully represented. And I'd like to get a little bit more in a different direction and focus on small businesses. And I've said this before, I think small businesses are closely linked to families. And what I don't like seeing is a lot of Black families leaving San Jose. So how can we retain Black families and keep small businesses going? And I think that that's by supporting small businesses that are Black owned. And we can do this through helping them with access to capital, not just through, financial access and loans, but also through overcoming systemic barriers through disappointed lending, and then helping them with government contracts and business education, mentorship networks for companies that are already doing exceptionally well, helping those that are just starting out, and better marketing access so that when we have a small company that's starting out, allowing them to grow and having the capability to expand for larger employment.
Thank you. And Gabby, can I have you go next?
Sure. Yeah, so one observation I made in the economic development proposal for that was approved at last night's city council meeting is that there was no mention of diverse suppliers, of procurement, or of anything related to any sort of disproportionately or impacted community or marginalized community. So one, I would have uplifted that as an issue with that plan being approved. That wasn't acknowledged. So I think making sure that we uplift those experiences. Then, of course, if we're talking about this topic in particular, definitely working with the Minority Business Consortium. Walter Reginald has been leading this work for many years. And so looking to them to see how we can partner and making sure that they're connecting us with suppliers, diverse suppliers, and those in the Black community. I know that they were very successful in working on some of the 49er contracts in the building process. So they know what to do. Let's do it as it relates to affordable housing. And I would really look forward to partnering with them on that.
Thank you so much. And Chuck, I'll pass it to you for your question.
Oh, sure. Thank you. We spend a lot of time in polite rooms like this, asking questions and getting feedback. But I think we missed the mark. I want to ask you all, each of you, to answer from within your heart. Do you hear the siren? Do you hear the alarm of the declining Black community in Santa Clara County and San Jose City? Do you understand this is happening now? And what does that mean to you? So I'll be specific. The number is 2.35% population of African Americans, down from 2.68% a year ago. Do you hear the siren? Anthony, you can go first.
Yes, I would say that I do hear the siren, and I think that is in huge part due to advocates like yourself who are raising awareness of this issue. I think, we spoke earlier about the budget as a moral document. I think if San Jose is a city that cares about this trend and cares about having any appreciable Black community in the future, then the time for action is now. The time for action, honestly, was when this trend started back in the 80s and 90s. We need to make sure that we are investing in supporting our Black community, in preventing displacement, in supporting our unhoused Black population, in building affordable housing to help prevent displacement of our community. I think that's the only way that we can solve this problem. And it's something that if the city cares, it's something they will invest in.
Gabby, you can go next. I'm just picking.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, I see you, I feel you. I talk directly to many of the Black leaders regularly. This is my circle. These are my friends. These are my sisters. These are people who I surround myself with. And so I understand it in a visceral way because I hear their cries. I see the pain. And again, I want to just acknowledge that I have done everything in my power to uplift Black leadership, to make sure that you all are seen, you all are heard, you all are at the table, that you all are there. And what it's going to take is true partnership. That's what it's going to take, us bringing our voices together, us unifying, us being able to bring our forces together and to support one another. And we got to be relentless in that. And we cannot let up. And we need to make sure that City Hall hears us. We need to make sure that our elected leaders hear us and that they have some fear, quite frankly, instilled in them to do the right thing if they're not going to do the right thing because it's the right thing. So yes, Chuck, I hear you, I see you, and I'm with you.
Thank you, Gabby. Irene?
Yes, Chuck, I see you and I hear you. And I recognize that in my business plan where I say we're losing Black families. And I think that one of the ways that we can shore that up is through really supporting small Black businesses. And that will encourage families to stay. that's one of the core tenets for me and how we can work together. I think it's critical, and I think the mental health aspect of things is critical. The NAACP is focused on the resources for mental health and addiction services, and we've completely missed the mark. So I think all that combined, if we can address the homelessness, affordable housing, mental health, and keeping Black families here, because it's not a matter of asking San Jose if they want to do this. It's a matter that our values really are, we celebrate a variety of cultures. We can't let one go extinct. We can't.
Thank you. Matthew, you're last.
Thank you, Chuck. I do. We have to be much more intentional at City Hall about the decisions that are made on every piece of legislation, whether it's on parks, whether it's on community centers, libraries. We need to empower our Office of Racial Equity to make sure that they are pushing much more clearly the impacts on the Black community on any piece of legislation that moves forward. I think that is crucial and integral to the work that we have to do at City Hall to protect the community and make sure Black families can move here and be here and thrive with the community here in San Jose. My grandfather was left Texas because of the racism. He was told at an incident that he was in his Class A uniforms where he served in World War II, buying a bottle of milk for his baby boy, that the farmer would rather sell the milk to a dog than a Mexican. That's not my city. I want my city to be welcoming for everyone, especially our Black community. And that starts first and foremost on every decision made at the City Council, making sure we have the right resources to protect and ensure people can be here to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you everyone for answering that question. I see Derek, you have your hand raised. Did you want to ask a question?
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Talk is one thing, action is something else. In a nutshell, could each of you please explain how your presence at City Hall will make a difference, specifically for District 3 and in general for San Jose? Given the order started by Chuck, we'll do Gabby, Irene, Matthew, and then Anthony.
Representation matters. And I think that D3 is a super dynamic district. It's a very diverse district. There are competing interests, lots going on, acute issues. And so we need somebody who is going to make sure that all of those perspectives are being thought of and brought to the table. And that when we are talking about policies, when we're talking about programs, when we're talking about ordinances, for example, how is it going to affect everyday people? How is it going to disproportionately, is it going to further harm our community, or is it going to uplift our community? And these are the questions that we have to ask. And you need a thoughtful leader on that dais. You need somebody who's going to understand the implications of your decision, someone who's been serving people on the ground, that's been on the front lines of a crisis, of a pandemic, who has functioned in a burning building and has come out and made sure that people were getting the services they need. So that's the type of leader that I'm going to be. That's the type of city council member that I'm going to be. And I'm going to represent the diverse interests of D3.
Yeah, thank you. Irene, next.
Thank you. From my perspective, D3 is a multicultural, multi-ethnicity conglomeration that needs to be supported in every way possible. We can't just support one over another, but we have to celebrate all. And I think that when I look at some of the most dire issues in D3, I'm looking at people who are disadvantaged, people of color, women, families, and children. And I want to look at how we can get them better opportunities. And to me, number one is education. And I'm very supportive of educational vouchers so that students and children can choose their schools and look at whether they want a private school or a voucher school. And I think that I like the example of Stockton, where they got rid of wasteful entitlement programs and instead replaced it with guaranteed income that seems to be working very well. And I think we continue to focus on jobs and more jobs and more jobs, whether it's small businesses or contracting with the city of San Jose. And I think you have to look at the whole perspective from end to end because you're representing everybody that's in D3.
Thank you. Matthew?
Derek, thank you. In my life, when I started here in San Jose, born and raised in the city, I experienced the disparity in our neighborhoods. I experienced the difference in how Seven Trees community was compared to the Vista Park community, the two places I grew up. I saw that. I saw the pain that people experienced in walking with the neighborhoods, and the pain in my aunts and uncles, and my grandfather, and my parents, and the people who raised me. The disparities that impact the families of so many in this city, not only in District 3, which District 3 is very diverse, but we have a lot of folks that are suffering in our city, and we need to help them. We need to bring them to the table. As a neighborhood leader, as the San Jose Downtown Residents Association president, as the deputy chief of staff in charge of neighborhood outreach, my job has been to go into every single neighborhood to make sure they are coming to the table and being represented at City Hall, listening to them, because that is when City Hall does its best work, listening to them on how to move forward and how to make the city safer, cleaner, and more vibrant for everyone. I will be fighting for that as a council member and fighting for all of our neighborhoods, knowing that they all need the same access to the services that the city should be providing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony?
Thank you. I grew up in a working class family with a disabled dad, and we relied growing up on government programs just to get by. So I understand why it matters having a government that actually works for working people. And that's a lesson that I take with me into every room that I enter. I also know that results matter here. I've talked to too many elected officials who've bluntly, behind closed doors, said that they think that some of these problems, housing affordability, homelessness, are too big to make a dent in. And they've just kind of resigned themselves to the fact that there's nothing to be done. I don't think that that's good enough, and that's not the type of leader I would be on city council. I will continue to push our city to do more, to think bigger, and to work with more urgency so that we can actually make a dent in these issues and deliver results for the people of District 3.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for answering those questions. So we're almost done, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We're gonna end it with closing remarks. So we'll give each one of you a minute and a half to share anything you'd like to say about your candidacy, and touch on anything else if you felt like you needed to add. Also, please add any information for people to look you up, communicate with you, or any information you have regarding your campaign. So we will start with Irene. A minute and a half, closing remarks.
I was typing a response to Chandra, and it sounds like all lives matter. And no, Chandra, I'm focusing on, we have so many great cultures within the D3 area. I want to celebrate all of them, including the African American Community Center. I will do whatever I can to make sure that we celebrate that part of the Black experience. That's important to me. And I think in closing, I want to remind everyone to avoid the trap of being satisfied with a long list of vague ideas that sound good, because we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We need plans that are big enough and bold enough and fast enough. And we need strict accountability to D3. Will D3 see an improvement in a year? And if plans don't turn into action, that becomes a bureaucrat's dream. And they hide the ball while our quality of life is in the balance. We can do better, and we can think bigger, and we can aim higher together.
Thank you so much. Matthew, can you go next, please?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for the conversation. I'm really thankful to be here this evening and I'm glad, proud to you all took all the time out of your nights, your busy nights, to participate in this conversation. Folks, we have a huge issue in our city, and it's an issue that is impacting many. It's on homelessness, it's on public safety, it's on providing affordable housing, uh, it's on many issues. Your city government works best when it focuses on the city issues that are before us, on those that which we can control. I want to partner with all of you to make sure that we are making that happen, that we're housing those who are unsheltered and making sure that they're provided opportunities for mental health services, drug addiction services, or job training, so that we can be an example for other cities to follow in ending street homelessness and getting people the resources they need. I want to make sure we have a city that is safe, where the police department is well trained, where we're expanding the opportunities for mental health professionals to participate in the department, to make sure our policing is innovative and responsive to the needs of our community. I want to make sure that our community is supporting our small businesses. And I'm making sure that we're providing support through the city resources that you all pay into and that you all support, so that we can make sure that families, especially families from our Black community, can be here and afford to live here. I want to make sure I'm representing you wholeheartedly. And I have been for the past 4 years working with the mayor and working with others. And I want to continue to do that as your council member. I appreciate you all for being here this evening. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. Gabby, can you go next, please?
Sure. So we have a saying in Spanish, dime con quién andas y diré quién eres. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And I'm very proud of the relationships that I have built in this community over the last 2 decades. It is diverse. It has a multitude of experiences, subject matter experts across issue area. I am surrounded by incredible people that inform and help guide and are really leading this city forward. So as we've discussed, racial equity isn't just an abstract idea. It's about intentionality, investment, and action. And I hear you all today. It's about ensuring that every community, particularly the Black community, and the residents here in San Jose have access to the opportunities, resources, and spaces that they deserve. I've spent my career dedicated to building coalitions, to amplifying voices, and to pushing for policies that uplift historically marginalized communities, whether it's advocating for affordable housing, investing in youth leadership, supporting diverse small businesses, and working to dismantle systemic barriers. I believe that real change happens when we come together and we hold our city accountable to its promises. So again, as we leave here today, let's not just talk about change, let's be a part of it. If you'd like to get involved in my campaign, you can learn more at GabbyChavezLopez.com. And I thank you all for your leadership and your time.
Thank you so much. Anthony, you're next.
Thank you all again for putting this forum together and for all of these really important questions and conversations. Again, my name is Anthony Tordillos, and if there's one thought that I can leave you with today, it's that I'm laser focused on restoring trust in local government here in San Jose and delivering results for the people of District 3. But you don't have to wonder what type of council member I will be. You can look at my track record. On the Planning Commission, I have consistently pushed our city to think bigger and to work faster on issues of housing affordability and homelessness. As a neighborhood leader, I've heard concerns from our community about blight, public safety, and crime, and I've worked to bring folks together to clean up our streets, invest in public art projects, and hold events to help our neighbors come together and build community. On council, I'll combine that community-centered approach with my public policy background to really deliver results across all of the issues that matter most to our residents. I'm proud in this race to have earned the endorsement of the Santa Clara County Democratic Party, civil rights organizations like Equality California and the LGBTQ+ Victory Fund, members of organized labor like OE3, and every pro-housing organization that has endorsed so far in this race. I can say that I will be a council member that you all can count on to go to bat for you and your families. It would be an honor to serve as your council member and to work alongside you to lift up our Black community. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you all this evening. If you'd like to learn more about my campaign, you can visit my website at anthonyforsanjose.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great job to all of the candidates. I appreciate your time with us this evening. For those of you who are Afro UPRIS members, you will be receiving a Google form to vote on in our endorsement process, which will be open from March 20th to March 25th. It's been communicated to all members what the voting process is. Of course, anyone can become a member, but only people who have been members in good standing are eligible to vote in our endorsement process. So again, thank you so much to all of the candidates. Good luck to all of you. And thank you everyone who was able to help, Kiyoshi for adding the questions, Elizabeth and Chuck for co-moderating, and thank you Derek and Raymond and Chuck for asking questions. And I saw a lot of action in the chat. So I appreciate everyone being super engaged, because that's what we need, an engaged populace, so that our elected officials can stay really, have their ear to the ground on what's needed and what's necessary and do right by their community. So thank you everyone for being a part of this today.
Thank you, Tara. Thank
Before you
you.
all leave, can we add a link
Thank you.
to become a member real quick in the
Thank you.
chat?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, so we have a PayPal. And I don't know if I can find that quick enough, but if someone can, then please put it in the chat. But let me see if I can. So right now we are in the process of reclaiming our domain, which was lost. And so we don't have an active website. However, we do have an Instagram. So if you do want to follow us on Instagram, thanks Chuck for the reminder. It's Afro_UPRIS. I just put it there in the chat. And we, as I mentioned, there's a PayPal to pay for a membership. It's $25 for individual, $35 for you and your household who are registered Democrats, $10 for a student or a senior. And those are annual memberships. And I see, thank you so much, Kiyoshi, yay. I see our candidates have put their information and websites in the chat. Please do reach out to them and do your research to be an informed voter.
Great. Thank you all.
All right, good evening. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Have a good evening. Have a good evening. Bye.
At all.
Hey,
Bye.
hey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, like last time we like debriefed amongst Afro UPRIS. Are we gonna